Our movie today starts as Caleb Smith, a programmer at a search engine company called Blue Book, wins an office contest for a 1-week visit at a home of a CEO, Nathan Bateman. Caleb is flown to Nathan's estate, where he gets dropped in the middle of a field and he gets told to follow a river to find Nathan's home. When he gets to the door, he gets greeted by an automated system that issues him with a key card and lets him enter the property. Caleb enters the house but finds it empty, and he wanders around the house for a little while before he eventually runs into Nathan, who was working out in the garden. They exchange pleasantries, and Nathan shows Caleb around the house and takes him to his room. He tells him that his keycard will only open certain doors in the house, and tells him that any door that won't open with his keycard is off limits. Caleb opens the door to his new room, and the room is neat and nice with its own bathroom. But Caleb notices that there are no windows. Nathan explains that the entire building is a research facility. He then tells him that they've been doing a really big project, but before Caleb can know about it, he must sign an NDA. Nathan gives him the NDA, and when Caleb sees it, he finds it very intrusive and extreme. He then requests for a lawyer to see it before he can sign, but Nathan explains that if he doesn't want to sign it, he can just leave it and miss out on the greatest invention ever. After thinking a little, Caleb gets enticed by the offer and signs the NDA. Nathan then asks Caleb if he knows what the Turing test is. The Turing test is used to determine if a computer program or artificial intelligence is capable of thinking like a human, and Caleb responds yes to the question, then asks if Nathan is building an AI. Nathan responds by saying he's not building an AI, he's already built it. He has built a state-of-the-art humanoid-like AI, and he tells Caleb that over the next few days, he will be testing the AI, and if the AI passes the Turing test, it will be released to the world and revolutionize technology as we know it. Caleb is obviously very excited by this and agrees to do the experiment. Later that day, Nathan sends Caleb to the test room where he will meet Ava, an advanced humanoid artificial intelligence robot who is made as a woman. Ava has a face, hands, and feet, and she also has a little bit of human skin. The testing room is divided with a glass wall, and in one side there's Caleb, and in the other there's Ava. Nathan will be watching their conversation in the control room through the home cameras. As Caleb introduces himself to Ava, they exchange pleasantries, and Ava tells him that she's never met anybody new before, and he tells her that he's never met anybody like her before. He then starts his examination by asking her to break the ice, and she starts telling him that she is 1, and he asks, 1 year old? But she responds by saying, I'm 1. He then asks her how she learned to speak, and she answers she always knew how to speak, and they talk about the idea of language for a little while before the first session ends. After the session, Caleb and Nathan talk about Ava, and Caleb is very impressed with her, and they both agree the first test was a success. Later that night, Caleb is in his room and he gets bored and opens the TV for entertainment, but he discovers that the TV is showing a CCTV feed that allows him to watch Ava in her room. He sees Ava in her natural habitat, and suddenly there's a blackout, and the room turns red and all the doors seal shut until the emergency generator is activated and the power is back on in a few seconds. The blackout really freaks out Caleb, especially because the doors get shut automatically. He goes to find Nathan, and when he gets to the living room, he sees a phone, but before he picks it up, a drunk Nathan appears behind him. Here we see a new side to Nathan that only comes out when he's drunk. He's rude and petulant and acts very irritable. When Caleb asks him about the blackout, Nathan explains that it's been happening regularly and that he's looking into it. And Caleb, seeing that Nathan is not really in a good mood, goes back to sleep without asking any more questions. The next morning, Caleb is awakened by Kyoko, a Japanese girl who doesn't speak English or doesn't actually speak at all. Nathan later explains that he hired her so that he doesn't need to worry about leaking any information because Kyoko doesn't speak. After a while, it was time for Caleb's session with Ava again, and this time she shows him her drawings. He asks her what the drawings are about, but she tells him that it doesn't really have any meaning. He then asks her to draw an object or a person, and Ava says okay, then stands up to leave. But before she leaves, she asks Caleb if he wants to be her friend, to which he replies yes. She also asks a bunch of other questions about his personal life, and he reveals to her that both his parents died when he was 15 in a car accident, and he was the sole survivor. Ava then asks if Nathan is his friend, and he tells her that they just met, and so they're not really friends yet. Then suddenly, the power's cut off again, and Nathan was also unable to see them because the power was off and the cameras shut down. Ava uses this opportunity to tell Caleb not to trust Nathan. Caleb is very confused by this and asks her why, but before she could answer, the power gets back on and Ava changes the conversation to the thing they were talking about before the outage. Later that night, as Caleb and Nathan were talking about that day's session, Kyoko accidentally spills drinks on Caleb and Nathan screams at her. Hiri realized that Nathan is not really a great guy. He's actually pretty horrible, and the way he shouted at Kyoko really weirds out Caleb. And when Nathan starts talking about the blackout, Caleb lies and tells him that nothing really happened. Over the next few days, Caleb and Ava spend more time together. They grow close until one day, Ava asks Caleb to take her on a date one day. As Caleb agrees to her offer, she tells him to cover his eyes. And then she goes to her room and picks up her favorite dress and a black wig. The dress almost covers all of her robotic parts, making her look more like a human. And as she shows him this, Caleb gets confused and excited at the same time. After their session, he meets up with Nathan. Caleb is very suspicious and thinks that Ava was programmed to flirt with him. And Nathan tells him that he's just insecure, and then takes him to the lab where he actually made Ava. Nathan shows him the AI's brain's programming and explains how the brain is designed in a way so it can evolve on its own just as a human being's brain does. He then reassures him by telling him that Ava was not programmed to like him and that was completely her choice. Nathan also explains that Ava has an artificial vagina, which works just as good as the real one, giving her the emotions that a real woman would feel during coitus. Why would you design her that part, and why is it important that she feels that? I don't know, but I kinda think it's cool that he did it. Moving on. On their next session, Caleb explains to Ava the difference between an AI brain and a human brain. He then reveals to her that he's there to test her and to see if she has consciousness. Here, the power suddenly goes out again, and Ava tells Caleb that Nathan is lying about everything. She also reveals to him that she's been causing the power cuts. Later that same day, while taking a shower, Caleb imagines himself being with Ava, while Nathan actually sleeps with Kyoko. Apparently they have more than just an employer-employee relationship? Yeah. That evening, Caleb watches on his TV as Nathan enters Ava's room and rips apart her drawings. And from witnessing this, Caleb starts to believe Ava, and he starts to think that maybe Nathan is really abusive. On another session, Ava cuts the power off again, and she shows Caleb what Nathan did to her drawings. She then tells him that she wants to be with him and asks him if he wants to be with her. And the movie then cuts away and we don't see what Caleb answered. But after the session, Caleb asks Nathan directly what he will do to Ava if she fails the test. And Nathan reveals to him that she will be upgraded to a better version, and in the process, he will erase all her memories. He also reveals that Ava is not the first version and that there have been others just like her. Caleb is visibly upset to find this out, and he keeps giving Nathan a lot of alcohol to get him drunk. And after Nathan passed out from all the drinking, Caleb then steals Nathan's key card and enters the control room. He searches for footage in the computer and finds videos that show Nathan has been building various female AIs over a period of time. Caleb goes to Nathan's room and finds Kyoko naked on his bed. He then opens the closet and finds parts of destroyed female AI parts that Nathan was experimenting on. He then turns to Kyoko and pulls the skin off her body and face, revealing that she is also an AI. Anyways, in the living room, Nathan wakes up and he stumbles around the room drunk and figures out that he's lost his key card. But Caleb appears just in time and gives Nathan his card back by pretending to have found it on the floor. And since Nathan was too drunk to question it, Caleb gets off the hook easy. But even though Nathan might not suspect him, Caleb is now more confused than ever about everything. And at this point, the real confusion is he starts to get confused about himself, questioning that if he's real or if he's somehow Nathan's creation and just doesn't know about it. We then see him going into the bathroom and cut his arm to check if he's actually human. And as blood starts pouring out, he calms down, realizing that he is indeed human. The next day, Caleb has his last session with Ava, and Caleb tells her to cut off the power at 10 as he plans to break her out tonight. He tells her his plan to get Nathan drunk again so he can use his key card to get to the control room and change the security protocol of the house so when the power cuts off, instead of closing the doors, they actually open. And now with a pretty solid plan with Ava, Caleb goes to execute the plan. And as he was having a conversation, Nathan tells Caleb that the week has ended and that the helicopter will arrive the next morning to take him back. Caleb offers Nathan a drink to toast to the time they spent together, but Nathan refuses, saying that he just wants to be sober starting from now. Nathan then takes him to the control room and reveals to him that when he entered Ava's room to destroy the picture, he hid a battery-operated camera in there, which let him see what Ava and Caleb were talking about when the power was off, revealing that he knew Caleb's plan all along. Nathan also admits that Ava was created specifically for Caleb and that she was programmed to manipulate and use Caleb to escape the facility. He also reveals to Caleb that he was not selected randomly for this experiment and that Nathan just saw this lonely, geeky guy without parents and a girlfriend, so he just decided to use him. Caleb gets really angry and then asks Nathan a weird question, and the question is if Ava's face was actually taken from Caleb's adult video searches, and Nathan confirms that everything about Ava was taken from Caleb's internet search history. Caleb sits there in silence as Nathan celebrates that his AI Ava has now passed the test. Because her original plan was to actually manipulate Caleb, and she actually succeeded as Caleb was about to break her out, thinking that she was somehow being abused by Nathan. Then suddenly, there's a blackout and it's 10 o'clock. Nathan is still celebrating when Caleb reveals that he's already succeeded on his plan, and he tells Nathan that he suspected that Nathan knew about the plan, so he already changed the security protocols of the home the night before when he stole Nathan's key card. Nathan then sees Ava released from her room and he knocks out Caleb and leaves to stop Ava. But when he gets there, he finds Ava and Kyoko whispering to one another. Ava then tackles Nathan, but he overpowers her and breaks off one of her hands. As he was dragging her back to her room, Kyoko jumps out of nowhere and stabs him from behind with a knife. And as he was turning to Kyoko, his lover, and breaking her face, Ava pulls out the knife from behind him and she stabs him again. Nathan falls to the ground, and as he dies from excess blood loss, Ava then goes to Nathan's room and repairs herself with the body parts of the other AIs. She also takes their skin and puts it on herself, hiding all her robot parts looking fully human. And as Caleb wakes up, he's locked in a room because the house's security system is now back online, and thanks to him, when the security system goes back online, it actually locks instead of opening. Meaning, unless the power turns off again or something, he's locked in that room forever. And to get out, Caleb calls on Ava, but she ignores him and leaves the house. And shortly after, the helicopter arrives that was supposed to pick up Caleb, but she gets inside the helicopter and flies away from the estate. In the last scene, we see Caleb trying to break out of the locked room unsuccessfully. We also get to see Ava as she travels the city and blends in with a crowd of people. I mean, what do you guys think? Leave your comments in the comment section. I would love to hear about it. And also, subscribe to my channel, like my video, and I promise to see you guys on my next recap. I love you all. Bye.